Superhot is an interesting first-person shooter game where time only moves when you move, and it recently came to VR. And I played Superhot on the Pico 4. The Pico 4 was sent to me, and they provided me access to all kinds of games, and I really wanted to check this one out because it was similar to another VR shooter game I had been playing, but this one seemed very, very creative. Now I'm going to show some gameplay for you, and I'm going to walk through how the game works and give you my thoughts. I want to weigh in on the controls, the gameplay loop, the graphics. Do I recommend the game or not? Why is it extra special, I think, to play this game on the Pico 4? There are things that the Pico 4 will let you do that actually uniquely helps with Superhot, okay? And I am not being paid to make this movie. They did send it to me, okay? I was sent the device, but they're not paying me to make this video. And I've specifically enjoyed one particular aspect of the Pico 4, especially when playing this game, Superhot. So if you like this game review, make sure you hit subscribe, the bell button. We usually follow these uploads with like a members only debrief. If you want to discuss this with me or get access to extra content, that's a great way to support. We also do talk shows and stuff on this channel. So you start out in this room. There was a pretty basic tutorial that you have to get through before you get to this room. And when you're in this room, you like grab a disc and you put it in, and then it sort of loads the program. And the program consists of, you actually have to physically grab this VR helmet on the ceiling after it tells you to. And it's better to grab it from the side. Little tip there. I could never get it to work when I was kind of grabbing from the back of the helmet. And you can punch people, you can shoot people, or you can throw stuff at people. Everybody's basically made of glass. That's kind of the way that it works. And each little mini section that you clear leads to another mini section. There's sort of one entire area that you're trying to beat, and it's chained to, like, I punch the guy out of the helicopter and then I'm on the ground, okay? And as you advance, it gets a little bit harder and harder in each section. And if you die, you can see here, I keep dying. I have to start over. I have to go back to punching the guy in the helicopter, and then all of a sudden I'm on the ground and I'm grabbing the pistol. Now, the reason this works is you start to get better and better at planning your shots and reacting to what you know is coming. So I'm developing a strategy right now of, okay, I know I got to punch this guy, and then I know I have to grab the pistol. I've got a guy on the ground with a gun, a guy that will grab a gun to my left, and then a guy in the helicopter. And placing your shots is really important because time will start to move forward right after you pull the trigger. And so you want to kind of lead the people that are moving. And in these cases where there's a guy that's stationary, you want to be able to position yourself in a way to shoot him but not also get shot yourself. Because once you pull the trigger, it advances time a certain amount. Anytime you move, it advances it even more. And then you get into areas like this where as soon as you get in, you're going to suddenly start hearing movement, gunshots, you're going to hear glass breaking, and you're going to have to navigate exactly what to do in response. So that's basically the content loop. You sort of reposition after clearing an area, and now you've got like a new area and new vantage points to learn and adapt to. And if you fail, you will go all the way back to that first spot where I punched the guy out of the helicopter, which I just got shot, so you're going to see that. I think the gameplay loop works incredibly well because you do get faster and better at placing your shots and strategizing each little area. Near the end, I got to the point where I knew exactly what to do. I would grab the gun, I would place my shots, and then just like move to where I knew I needed to be. So you do develop sort of that muscle memory, that placement, that standing that will help you out. Now, why did I say this game in particular is really enjoyable on the Pico 4? The Pico 4 is an all-in-one VR, so I'm not attached to anything. No wires, no cords. I'm wearing a headset, and I have the controllers. Everything's wireless, okay? So I'm not plugged into a PC, a television, or a console. And the reason that's so nice is the Pico 4 lets me designate my play area. I can literally draw it manually. And this game, you want to be in a very, very wide open space. You will be stepping forward, backward, side to side. You'll be leaning, lunging, ducking. And the more space you have, the better. Now, not all VR games require this level of movement. A lot of the VR games I've played, I might kind of bob and weave a little bit like a boxer. Maybe I'm ducking or dodging shots. Maybe I'm trying to like get behind something. But I'm not taking literal steps forward, backward, steps to the side, in either direction. I'm typically not doing that with a lot of the VR games that I've been playing. So when you get into games that are more like Superhot, where you are going to be moving quite a bit, both forward, backwards, and laterally, having the Pico 4 is a huge benefit because you don't need to be in a room with, your TV, your console, or your PC. You just need a big, wide open space. I mean, you could theoretically do this in your backyard. You might look a little crazy, but you draw the barrier. Let's say you've got a fence off to your left. Well, you would draw the barrier to that fence. So if you get close to the fence, you'll see as I'm playing, like little blue walls pop up. That's letting me know, hey, you're getting close to the edge of your barrier. So this game, and I'm sure many others like it, are going to be especially enjoyable on devices that are all-in-one, like the Pico 4, so that you don't have to worry about cords, cables, or running out of space, because not everybody's television room is really set up for VR, if that makes sense. Now, as I get further and further into this footage, I want to kind of show you there's new weapons. So here, I get a sword. And I start to develop different strategies, because the guy in front of me has a shotgun, and if I shoot him, I then run out of bullets. So the shotgun only has 2 shots in it, and one of the more satisfying things is right there. Anytime you kill somebody, their weapon sort of drifts towards you, which is a very, very fun mechanic. It leads to some really fun moments. If you land a really good kill, their weapon then flies toward you. Now, I will say one thing about combat that can be a little frustrating. So when you only have things to throw, it can be really, really nice because you can land those really nice shots. You can literally throw an ashtray, a bottle, an axe, a sword, whatever's around you. And when it makes impact, obviously if they're too far to punch, like I just punched him, if it makes impact, it destroys them. But you'll notice right here, I throw the bottle and it lands at his feet. Now, thank goodness I was able to time everything and get past, and then I punch this guy in the gut and grab his shotgun. But the bottle landed low instead of hitting him. It's a lot more satisfying when you chuck something and they keep coming, or they're moving or whatever, and you're able to land that shot. And then you see there I threw the axe, right? I don't think throwing in VR games works all that well. I don't exactly know what the problem is. It could be a me problem. I was speaking to somebody else who's big into VR, and he said that a lot of the times you need to underhand it instead of wanting to overhand it. I feel like I'm always throwing it and then it goes into the ground. Like, maybe I'm just releasing too late. Maybe, again, the controller should consider just a little bit more generosity, that if I do a forward motion and let go, just, set a nice straight trajectory for me. It doesn't need to be that complicated. I think one of the reasons games like this struggle with the throwing aspect, I've played some other VR games. It's not just Superhot, okay? And it's certainly not the Pico 4, because I've used other devices that I struggle with this. I think it's because they create an environment where everything sort of has physics. And you notice there, I landed the bottle shot and then I got the gun, and that's just so incredibly satisfying. So maybe you're better than me, right? Maybe you're really good at throwing mechanics in games like this. Well, you're really going to love Superhot, because there's multiple instances like that where you kind of have to throw the bottle, or there's like ninja stars. They seem to be the worst. They just don't travel well at all. But when you land those throw shots and then you're suddenly catching somebody's weapon, it's really, really satisfying. I will say, from a graphical standpoint, I think more and more VR games are going to take, cues from games like this. Don't strive for that photorealism. Create something that's more artistic. It's really about the enjoyment factor. Because you might be watching this and thinking, this looks kind of cheesy. This looks like some kind of a demo or tech demo. No, trust me, once you're in and once you get hooked by the loop, you actually enjoy the high contrast. You enjoy the sharp reds against the whites, because it makes it very, very easy for you to kind of see, navigate, and ultimately, once you get immersed, that's all that really matters. And I was very, very much hooked by this game. More and more, I've been enjoying these type of almost like rogue games where you can do a short run and get some fun in and then sort of, move on to the next game or just take a break, right? Because VR, sometimes people don't want to play for like a really, really long time. And these are games that are great for those little short stints and those short runs. So, graphically, I have no issues with this game. Performance-wise, I had no issues with this game. Sometimes the grabbing felt a little wonky. I think it's because I'm moving so much. Sometimes I'm not quite reaching down low enough, or I'm kind of leaned to the side, because you are constantly trying to navigate all of the bullets that are coming your way. And because of that, you'll end up feeling like, oh man, I thought I grabbed that. Overall, I felt like the grabbing mechanic in this was very, very generous. The shooting is extremely accurate. I never felt like I was missing my shots or shooting wide or anything like that. I was able to place shots and sort of predict where enemies were going. The throwing is the biggest weakness, I think, in this game. I don't know if that's a weakness for Superhot. I think that may be just like a latent weakness in VR games. That detection of the arm motion is just a little wonky. I'm going to work on it. I'm going to practice a couple of these rounds. Even if it's a gun, whatever I can grab, I'm going to try to get really good at straight throws. Maybe just release a little bit later, get that good arm motion. Sometimes I do think it's more of a push motion. And maybe that'll set the trajectory more. Maybe do almost like a Kamehameha, right? Like just sort of treating it like a beam coming out of your hand. I may try that as well. If you've got tips on how to do that, man, leave a tip below for anybody watching this review, because I think that's an aspect of this game that really shines at times. Like when you land those tosses and you land those throws, it really is satisfying. One of the runs there with those guys, I get both of them with a throw, and it is just absolutely what you want to experience in a game like this. So as far as the gameplay loop goes, I think they've structured it rather well. Once you beat an area, you go back to that room that I started in, and that's when you're able to then advance to like the next disc. So there I hit him with the bottle, and I'm able to get in a shootout with a guy in the steps, and it's just really satisfying. A good tip here is if you grab somebody's gun and they're close enough, just punch them, just save the ammo. Everything has limited ammo. I was trying to grab that gun on the ground there. Again, I think there are times where you just don't quite reach far enough. So, do I recommend this game? I highly recommend this game to anybody with a VR unit that can play it. Again, the Pico 4 had that unique advantage of being able to draw the play area, and then I'm not connected to anything. That's a huge benefit and a huge plus. If you can play Superhot non-VR, I think it's still a super creative game. It launched non-VR first. It seems kind of built for VR. But anyways, if you can play it non-VR, obviously I would recommend checking it out as well, because little unique challenges like this are so fun, where, you know, I'm in a room with 3 guys shooting at me, and I passed, right? And that's really satisfying when you see that triangle pop up and it says Superhot. That means you cleared that area. So now I have a new starting area. This is now where I will start every time if I die. So I punch him, and then I end up in different locations and things like that. This was one of the more fun areas because you end up getting to do the more immersive shooting. I'm leaning around corners, and I know they're coming, and I'm spraying, and I'm tucking back in. I love that. There's other areas in this segment where I'm behind a car, and I'm ducking behind and using the car's hood for cover, or ducking behind a ledge and using cover, and you could see the blue lines popping up. That was me getting close to the edge of my play area, so you'll see just how much I am able to move. That is just, I think, such a great thing about Superhot. So I strongly recommend getting this game if you're into VR. It's super creative. Here, you'll see what I do. I actually go all the way to the side to get out of the way because they're all using shotguns, and you can see the blue lines starting to pop up from my play area, and all those red lines are going to pass me. This is actually an area where you just have to dodge. You don't have to shoot them, and then you end up behind them, and then you're shooting down below, and I'm getting achievements and things like that, which is pretty awesome. And this is one of those instances where I got a nice little bit of cover here, so I'm going to start kind of ducking down just to make sure I'm good, and I start spraying down on them, and then eventually I end up behind a car. It's just really fun. This is definitely one I think I'm going to go back and finish, so I would check it out. Definitely check this one out. Very excited. Thank you again to Pico for sending the Pico 4 to me. We'll have a couple more, I think one more review coming that'll be a game, and then I'll do an overall review of the Pico 4. These videos usually roll over into a members-only debrief. That's extra content. If you want to support directly, hit join to join in on that extra content. As always, you can hit like, you can hit subscribe. That's free. It supports me, and then you will not miss me in the next video.